Well, we have a special guest right now. We're joined by Dr. David Chao. He is a former NFL team physician.
And doctor, it looked like kind of a standard hit in the NFL, but after taking just a few steps, Hamlin collapsed on the field. Doctor, what can you, I don't want you to say what caused it, but when you saw this on television, what went through your mind? And we want to let people know that you are a former NFL team physician, correct, doctor?
Yeah, I'm a former NFL head team physician, and my heart just sank when I saw it on the replay. In the initial, you're right, it looked fairly routine, a routine hit. And, I appreciate the opportunity to come on because Vic Carucci is a great guy and a good friend, but I don't relish coming on under these circumstances, and I'm not here to speculate in any way, shape, or form, but hopefully provide some solace and clarity to just the situation in general. I mean, it's unheard of. Clearly was something related to his heart. It wasn't a concussion thing. And, obviously our prayers go out to him. That's what the CPR is all about. He's in critical condition. The breathing tube is normal for anyone in a critical condition. Obviously, it's not normal to have a breathing tube. And all I can say is that you never want a young man or any person to collapse. But if you're going to collapse, unless you're in the hospital, there's no better place than an NFL field. There are over 24 medical professionals, not only the Buffalo Bills, at least 3 team physicians and multiple other athletic trainers and medical staff, but it is routine for the home team, the Cincinnati Bengals, to respond with even more medical professionals, emergency medical professionals, the paramedics, trauma people, emergency trauma surgeon / ER doc, anesthesiologist. They were all on hand and joint effort there and taking care of them. They drill for this. Trauma center is on call whenever there's a game. It's set up that way in the NFL. And that's the only, hope that the young man got the care, the best care and immediate care possible from all the equipment and the staff.
Dr. Chao, we've been going, and I've been kind of going over this in my mind for as long as I've been around this game, covering it since 1979, and I just can't come up with a scenario where I remember something of this nature happening. I was at the Kevin Everett game in Buffalo, and that feels like it was in the ballpark of kind of what we were seeing. But still, this took another level. To see the game postponed all your years of doing what you've done, is that a first for you, number one? And number two, just the sense of what it would take to, as far as like the mindset going into games, did it ever cross your mind while you were acting as a team physician or observing this game that a game could in fact be postponed under these circumstances, that it would take something of this magnitude?
Well, fortunately, on my time, 17 years on the NFL sidelines, I didn't experience even a Kevin Everett situation. There were a lot of significant injuries, but not even a Kevin Everett situation, which I'm glad you referred to, because that's something that could come to mind. As far as a game being postponed, never. The only games that we had postponed, I remember very clearly, was after 9/11. The entire league was postponed. Right. With that tragedy. In game here, when they were saying just one look on Josh Allen's face or any of the players, you knew it wasn't good. But it was my hope that the look on their face was related to seeing their brother and teammate getting CPR. If he's getting CPR, someone getting CPR is not fun to see. And that would be enough to make you emotional. And my hope is that there's a good ending to this story, and everyone being emotional is seeing their brother getting CPR on the field and nothing more than that. But that certainly can be very, very disturbing. But once I saw that, I was like, play the game in 5 minutes. I mean, that's where I think the head coaches showed good leadership and said, yeah, we can't do this. And it was emotional, Vic, for me. I mean, anyone goes to the silly Twitter timeline. I decided, and I'm grateful that I was just trying to console some people and give some perspective with a little Twitter live thing. And I was emotional. I still am. I don't know this young man, but I'm sure you feel the same way, Vic. It's
Yeah.
part of an extended football family, and I really feel for him and his family and all the Buffalo Bills and all of Buffalo. And so really hope that he's going to be okay here. But clearly a heart issue. I mean, there is, I'm not going to speculate on the details, but this is not Ericsson issue, the footballer, the Swedish, I think, or
Right.
footballer that collapsed. He was cardioverted very quickly with an AED. Every NFL team has AEDs there and on the sidelines. He had, what, 9 minutes reported of CPR. So CPR can maintain blood flow, and that's a good thing. And then when he was taken off and they said the game was suspended, I was saying, Vic, I hope and pray that they resume this game. And the only reason I said that is I don't see how they play this game unless they know he's okay,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
And
we're in that limbo. And look, my guess is they're still all in shock. I still am.
sure.
I don't think the Bills are going to want to fly home. They're want to stay in
Well,
Cincinnati.
yeah, so just so to give you an update on that, Dr. Chao, it's been reported from Cincinnati, from the Fox affiliate there, that in fact the team was going to return to Buffalo by their charter tonight. Now, that aside, you brought up something very important about the players and their reactions, having been around again around it as long as you have. When players are injured, there is a compassion. I know the old school thinking was, coaches didn't even want players who weren't hurt to be in the athletic trainer area, right? The room, stay away from there because, the injured players are away from the scene. That isn't how it's done anymore. There is more bonding, more support. But in your time of seeing this, how do you see that reaction in terms of like what you've witnessed, in terms of how players can deal with this trauma that they witnessed? And as you said, how do they go back to the job of playing again? You said you didn't see even a Kevin Everett situation, and fortunately you didn't have to treat anything like that, but you did treat serious injuries, and teammates see their seriously injured brethren dealing with that. How have you seen that handled in your time in the league?
Look, I remember one game that the Chargers had against the Dallas Cowboys, and I won't get into specifics of the players, but it was a very hard fought game. And one of the star Dallas Cowboys defenders was stretchered off with a cervical collar and the whole spine precaution thing. And after that, the Cowboys weren't the same. Boom, boom, boom. We won and won easily. The game changed on that. I remember there was a time that, and I won't mention names again, you could look it up, I suppose, that we had who arguably the toughest guy on our team, an offensive lineman that was injured with a concussion issue. And I don't think we as a team stuck our head in there for the next 4 games and lost, because you're human. And that's what this proves. This is not fantasy players. They're human beings here. And there's a lot of emotion there. And what I think a lot of players are going to ask is, Vic, you've seen more football than I have. Football, there's no question. To me, I always tell people football is not a contact sport. Football is a collision sport. There's a difference. Basketball, there's contact. Football, there are collisions. But that collision that young man had wasn't necessarily that out of the ordinary. Would you agree, Vic? And
Yeah.
therefore, I think there's going to be a lot of discussion
Right.
going forward, and rightfully so.
No question. Dr. Chao, when his marketing representative used the term vitals back to normal, based on, I guess, information he was getting from the family, Damar Hamlin's marketing rep who tweeted this out, can you put in perspective what does that mean?
Well, I mean, it's a layperson's revelation. I hope it to be accurate. Any vitals being normal is a good thing. Having a breathing tube is not necessarily a sign of anything bad. Anyone who's in the ICU or in critical condition, it's common/normal to control airway safety, and that's how it's done. So I don't take the fact that he's in critical condition. I would expect him to have a breathing tube, so that's neutral. The fact that he has vitals, I take it as some good optimism. Look, and by the way, I think there's some people that are asking, and I've got my phone's blowing up. You probably hear it in my lap here. Why did it take him so long to get to the hospital? Well, the rule of thumb is you have to stabilize someone. Like when you're on the field, you have more equipment, more people. When you're in the ambulance, you can't fit 20 people in there. It's like 3 people at most. And so you want to stabilize before you transport. And I didn't see anything wrong with the way that the Bengals or Bill staff handled this. They did it with good efficiency and to the best that they could, I think. You know, it's certainly concerning to see someone with CPR on the field. And look, I try and look for optimism, Vic, you know, and this is very serious. And I've been emotional about this myself. But, you know, I try and go glass half full. And maybe if we're trying to read things into this, look, potentially it's a negative sign they didn't play the game, but maybe the players were just that emotional. But I take it as a good sign that the ambulance, in theory, waited for his family, right, in the tunnel.
Yeah.
At least that was a report.
Right.
I don't know the accuracy of that. I mean, if it's immediate life or death, I don't think they wait for the family. The family can come over in the police escort later.
Yeah.
Right. And so.
Yeah, I was going to say, Dr.
Fingers
Chao,
crossed, Vic. I mean, what can I
thank
say?
you. We appreciate pulling you in from California to join us and really lend what you did to this. I want to share this from ESPN, and again, thank you, Dr. Chao. I want to share this from ESPN. They reported that Stefon Diggs took an Uber to UC Medical Center where Damar Hamlin was. Initially, I guess a police officer wasn't going to allow him in. And Diggs reportedly said, "I need to be there for my teammate." You know, Scott, we had this discussion about the brotherhood of players and about how important it is, and Dr. Chao shared that with us as well. This, I think, is the classic example. You have a teammate who just refused to leave Cincinnati without at least trying to get as close as he could to his fallen teammate.
Yeah, I think no one is surprised at all, Vic, to hear that Stefon Diggs would do something like that, show up in an Uber and want to be with his teammate. Thank you so much for that.